Hi there, and welcome to the Mindful Marathon podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Quirk, a run coach and pediatrician. Mindful Marathon is all about helping runners of all types to run their own race. Whether you are a seasoned runner or you're just getting started, I want to let you know that you're welcome here and that you're in the right place. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today we are on episode 71, Running by Time, Training Your Body Without Grading Yourself. Now, before we dive into the episode, I want to give two big updates. The first is a big shout out to all of our Walt Disney World Marathon weekend runners. So, all of you out there who ran at WDW Marathon Weekend, congratulations. I had three Mindful Marathon athletes who participated in the weekend, and I know that race conditions were not the best, and it was extremely hot out there. So, great job for all of you who participated, and I hope it was a lot of fun. I want to give a special congrats to our Mindful Marathon athletes. Allie ran the half marathon, and Daniela and Jamie both ran the Dopey Challenge, which they have done before. And for those of you who don't know what that is, the Dopey Challenge is an event that is basically all of the events of the weekend. So you run a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, and then the full marathon on Sunday. So it's a total of 48.6 miles across 4 days. And I like to say that it's basically an ultra marathon, and that is how, we train for it and prepare for it. And it's a lot of work and a lot of time to prepare. So I want to congratulate these ladies. If you head over to my Instagram page at mindful.marathon, you can see some of the very fun photos from the weekend. And I tell them all the time, I joke with them that they are a great advertisement for Run Disney because their pictures look so fabulous, and looking at them makes everyone want to go and run the race. So if you have a Run Disney race up ahead, please let me know. I'm running in the Springtime Surprise Weekend in April, and I am hopeful to register for the Wine and Dine weekend. That registration is coming up in early February, and that race weekend is in November. So I'd love to see some of you this April and hopefully again in November. So let me know if you have anything on the calendar. I'd love to meet up with you. And then my second big update is for my local runners. So if you are near Philadelphia, if you are near King of Prussia in particular, I am co-hosting a workshop at the end of January with a local physical therapist, Dr. Katie Vieira. We are going to be doing a 3 hour in-person workshop at the Roadrunner Sports in King of Prussia on Sunday, January 25th. And this is for all levels of runners. So it doesn't matter if you are a newer runner, if you are an experienced runner, even if you are a walker and you are run curious, you are welcome at the workshop. And we are not actually going to be doing any running at the workshop, just so you know that. It's a teaching workshop. We're going to be talking all about the off season and how to build strength and resilience as a runner. So there will be lunch served, and we have lots of giveaways. The store has been so lovely to provide us with lunch, and they have donated a pair of running sneakers and some gift cards for our raffle. So we're getting super excited about it, and we would love to have you there. We only have space for about 35 people just due to the size of the store and where we're having it. So if you're interested in that, I will drop the link about it in the show notes. And if you have friends or family in the Philly area, we would be grateful if you would share it with them. We would love to meet them. Okay, those are all of my announcements. So let's get into this episode. This episode is all about running by time instead of running by distance. And when I say that right off the bat, you might be getting a little bit uncomfortable, or maybe you're even squirming in your seat because if you are a type A person like I am who loves data and loves numbers, I see you and I honestly feel a little uncomfortable with this topic too, so you're in great company. This is something I've wanted to talk about on the podcast for a long time, and I had so many thoughts about it. I actually had to sit down and write out an outline for this one. So that's a little bit about my process. So if you've ever felt stressed because you look at your watch and your pace was, let's just say, slower than last week. If your watch has ever dictated your mood for the rest of the day, like you ran in the morning and based on the data on your watch, that sort of set you up for the rest of the day. And if you are tired of turning every run into a test, then this episode is for you, okay? So, where did this idea come from? The background. So, I am a pediatrician. I have lots of friends who are physicians, and we constantly live in what I like to call evaluation mode. And it's not just the doctors, right? High achievers of any kind have this ability, it's a magical ability, to turn even self-care into some kind of like a performance review. It's amazing. So many of us were trained in environments where everything was scored and ranked and evaluated, like so many evaluations. And sometimes, I would argue often, we bring that mindset into our running and into our bodies. This episode is to help you both recognize this if you haven't yet, and perhaps give you another way to think about things. So, I want to be open with the fact that, training is not an exam. Actually, neither is the race, really. So, training and race day are not exams, and it's a relationship that we have with the training and with the sport. Okay, I've separated this into a couple of parts. So, the first part is what does running by time actually mean? So, some of you knew what I was talking about right from the get-go, but if you're not even sure what I'm meaning by this, most of us run by distance. So, the training plan says 3 miles easy pace or 8 miles long run. And it can feel foreign and uncomfortable to run by time instead. So, instead of running 3 miles, the plan says run for 30 minutes. Or instead of a certain distance of long run, the plan says run for 2 hours and, remember to practice fueling. Now, this has been very helpful to my runners who find themselves in maybe like a running slump or in the off season or maybe coming back from an injury or like a long time off. It's sometimes difficult to see distance goals on a training plan, and seeing a time goal instead can just shift the way that we think about it. It's less pressure, like less pressure to hit a certain distance, less pressure to hit a certain pace. So I want to be clear that it's not giving up structure. Like I can write an entire training plan based on time instead of distance. It's just choosing a different form of structure. And to go back to what I said a little bit ago about treating a training run like a test or a performance review, when you run by time, you are practicing showing up without giving yourself a grade of any kind. So I want you to think of it like that. Now, I've separated this. I want to break it down, tips for each type of runner. Okay. So I know we have multiple levels of runners listening to the podcast. So we'll talk about why this is great for beginners, also why it's great for experienced runners, and then we'll finish up with some practical strategies that all of us can try across the board. So, for my newer runners, beginners out there, running by time instead of distance is a great way to remove comparison and just take that out. So, no like going down rabbit holes on Strava to compare yourself to other runners. No, I only ran X number of miles self-talk. as newer runners, we can often fall into that trap of comparison and comparing yourself to where someone is who's been running for 10 or 20 years. And even though we know intuitively that we shouldn't do that, it's really hard not to. So I think running by time really shifts the focus to effort. And that's really what I work on with, well, with my runners across the board, but especially with my newer runners, focusing on that level of effort scale, finding what easy pace feels like, just exploring, different paces and how running and walking feels in the body. It's also a great way to practice some mindfulness and presence. It can have your focus instead of being on the numbers and the pace and the distance, the focus can be on body awareness and breathing and internal cues that you're getting, just so that you become more comfortable in your own body while you're doing the movement. It's a great way to build consistency. So sometimes looking at a plan, if there is a distance goal, it can feel daunting. Like even 3 miles, when you don't have a lot of time, you're like, ooh, okay, that feels daunting. But if I write something that says do a 20-minute easy run, that could feel really doable on a very busy day. So, really, at the end of the day, I think it encourages a little bit of an identity change. So, instead of being attached to the distance numbers, you're attaching yourself to say, hey, I completed this amount of time. I completed the run on the plan. I did my 20 minutes easy or my 30 minutes easy. I'm someone who shows up and shows up consistently. So it can be a helpful mindset shift to run in this way. Now, for my experienced runners, okay, we need this too. And I think this is like the heart of the episode because I'm speaking to my past self. I love my Garmin watch, okay? Like I have it on here if you're watching on YouTube. I have I have the watch on at all times. I think I got my first Garmin in like 2016 or so, so I have 10 years of data, which I love looking at sometimes. But I also know that I have gotten way too attached to it as well. I think data fatigue is real, especially for physicians who make decisions all day. And I mean, when you come home from work, the last thing you want to think about is like, what do I want for dinner? Or what do I want to make for dinner? You don't want to make any more decisions. Running by time can be a mindfulness practice. It can be a little reset for your nervous system. And I think it benefits the seasoned runners because it really helps us to focus on those recovery runs. Like that's where I use it a lot. Easy runs, conversation pace, the runs where the effort does not need to be there, and we can really focus in on how that level of effort feels in the body, the rate of perceived exertion. So the objection I get a lot, like there's a lot of discomfort where letting go of a pace goal, letting go of running by distance, it can feel like you're losing control a little bit. And as type A, perfectionist type people, we really like control. And so this can feel, I mean, it's a subtle thing, but it can feel like, ooh, I don't know if I could do that. So I want to reframe this as something you could be curious about, something you could try as a way to just build some trust with yourself and with your body. So, we are going to go through some practical ways to use time-based running in your day-to-day. So, this is for whether you are a newer runner or you're an experienced runner. We'll talk through just some practical tips here and I'll give you some homework. So, for my beginners, what I like to give you as homework is to try a run walk or an easy jog for 20 minutes a few times a week and focus on finishing the workout feeling like you could have done 5 more minutes. And while you're doing that, I want you to really focus in on your level of effort. So, you guys know I talk about the level of effort scale a lot. It's a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is a brisk walk, 10 is a bear chasing you. And I want your level of effort on these easy, time-based runs to be in the 2 to 3 out of 10 range, which means that if you and I were jogging together, we could carry on a conversation. Okay. So focus on that time goal. What I do for this is if you have a place where you usually run, I mean, you can obviously do it on a treadmill too, but if you're doing it outside, you run out for 10 minutes and then turn around and come on back. So it's easy to do it as an out and back instead of trying to map out the distance. So that's what I do for my beginner runners. For my experienced runners, you may have a speed workout or two in your weekly routine. So, what I would do is try the time-based run for 1 or 2 of your easy runs only. So, it's much harder to do a time-based run if you are having pace goals that you have put a workout into your Garmin and you're following the workout. I recognize that. But on your easy run is a great place to try running by time instead of running by distance. The other homework you could do is to just try not to use your watch for one run each week. So on your easy run, don't take your watch at all. I know, I sound crazy, right? And then for everyone, just a couple of mindfulness prompts that you can use during the run. One is, what does easy feel like today? And then the second is, can I stay curious instead of judgmental? Again, I'm laughing because this is hard for me too. Now, I want to go through some common objections. So I recognize that this episode might be polarizing. I'm not sure. Some of you might be like, this sounds great. But I know many of you are sitting with some objections right now while I'm talking about it. And you again are shifting in your seat because you know this is uncomfortable for you. So one objection is I need numbers to stay motivated. So for this one, I would say try some temporary data breaks. Like you don't have to throw out your Garmin watch and go run in the woods without anything. Nothing permanent, but again, like try one run a week using this method or try one run a week without your watch. Okay. The other objection is this feels too unstructured. So I want you to play with it. Adopt the feeling of curiosity about it and about what flexibility can feel like for you. Now, if you need an in-between step, okay, my coach, Coach Billy, big shout out to him, he shared this tip with me early on. He used to assign things called blind runs, and that means he would want me to put a sticker over my watch. So, like, go out, start the watch at the beginning of the run, and put the sticker over it. And this was a way to really tap into that easy level of effort. And I love that assignment. I mean, it was very uncomfortable to do that, but it was kind of nice to have a sticker on my watch so then I look down and just see, Mickey Mouse or something and start laughing. But if you absolutely need the data, right? Like start the watch, put the sticker over the face. So you can still record the distance, you can still record the pace. You're just not leading with it, and you can still practice running by time and all of these mindfulness techniques and figuring out your level of effort and all of those things. Now, to tie this all back to real life, how often are we measuring ourselves by metrics that don't actually reflect our effort or our growth, right? Like I'm just shaking my head thinking about that. So I want running to be a safe space and I want running to be different and that we don't have to evaluate ourselves all the time when we're running because we do it in all other aspects of our lives. So to kind of wrap things up and tie this up, running by time can be a different way to approach training, and it may be one that you've never tried before. So, may this be an invitation. If you spend your days being evaluated by others, let running be the one place where you don't have to evaluate yourself at all. You just, you don't need another place in your life where you're being graded. So, my gentle challenge, my homework for you, is to try just one time-based run this week and notice how it feels, not just physically, but mentally. And I want you to share with me how it went. So send me a DM on Instagram at mindful.marathon or send me an email. I really would love to hear how it went, especially if you have never tried this before. Okay, so there we have it. I really enjoyed this episode, and I hope you did too. If you enjoyed the episode, let me know. And if you haven't yet left a review of the podcast, I would be really grateful if you could just take a moment today and do that. I promise that it helps to share our love of this sport with others and it helps people to find it amidst the busyness of podcast land. So if you could do that, I would really appreciate it. That is all I have for you this week. Thank you so much for being here. And if you are in the Philly area, I hope to see many of you at the workshop. The link to register for that is in the show notes. See you next week. Thank you for listening today. If you enjoyed the episode, please share it with a friend. And if you have a moment, please rate and review the podcast so that we can reach and encourage others to tie on their sneakers and join us out there on a run. See you next time.